Welcome to the Archispeak podcast. I'm Evan Troxel. Each episode, Neil Pan, Cormac Phelan, and I have a casual conversation about all things architecture, and we invite you to listen in as we talk about everything in the profession, both the good and the bad. Maybe you're considering a career in architecture, you're still in school, or you've been around the blocks of Corbusier's City of Tomorrow more times than you'd like to admit. Join us in the studio as we stand around the water cooler and talk about why we love our chosen profession. It's time for some Archispeak.
Welcome to episode 50 of the Archispeak podcast. I'm Neil Pan.
I'm Evan Troxel.
And I'm Cormac Phelan.
And this show is sponsored by ArcCat, and we'll be talking a little bit more about them later in the show.
And just as a reminder, we have a couple of ways that you can help support Archispeak. You can do that either by becoming a friend of the show, and this is really designed for our listeners to be able to support us on an ongoing basis. And we've had a lot of friends of the show this year show their support, and so we truly thank all of you guys. There's a long list, and if you guys have listened to previous episodes, you get to hear the names of those people who have sponsored, who wanted to have their names read, and that's one of the perks of doing that. And then we also have introduced sponsorships, and we've had a few great sponsors pick up the last few episodes of the show. And if you go to archispeakpodcast.com/sponsorship, check that out if you're interested at all in helping support Archispeak and all of the work that goes into creating the shows. So again, thanks to everybody who has supported the show in 2014. We really appreciate it, and we're looking forward to doing even more next year. So please check out archispeakpodcast.com for the different options for that.
And I thought it would be fun to kind of do a little recap in this episode and start us off, just maybe talk a little bit about some comments or any sort of lingering thoughts, if you will, on some of our more popular episodes, at least popular based on the comments that we've received. And the most commented on episode that we had this year was one we titled "Plans Are Us."
That was on the whole house plans online.
Yeah, that's right. And where
that was like a giant
where the video was taken offline.
Right. Yeah, Ed Shannon was one of our listeners, had written to us to let us know that he had sent an email off. I believe it was to Robert Ivy.
Right.
Yeah. And he kind of raised the issue that because they were the publisher of Architect Magazine, which every AIA member gets, and so it seemed like there was a conflict of interest going on there because the video directly said, don't hire an architect, you're wasting your money. Just come straight to us for these house plans online. So I think that was a pretty huge issue, and it seemed like that kind of ended up in a better spot than it began with.
No, I thought it was great because it got maybe not necessarily through our podcast, but it got the dialogue going, and I heard from a lot of people who basically said hey, I was writing a letter too, and so I thought it was really good that, we could just be a part of the conversation to get the word out and say, hey, AIA, kind of take a look at this. Your publisher of your monthly magazine is not, I looked at it this way, as they're benefiting two ways, both by supporting and, demeaning us by, saying, you don't really need an architect. You come to us.
Yeah, it was a total mixed message, right?
It was. Yeah, exactly. So that was a good show, and that really did generate an interesting firestorm of comments.
Well, it also brought up the question. I think Greg Lavadera brought up. It's not just simply we weren't necessarily railing completely against house plans versus architects, and right. He had some very good points about that. And maybe in 2015 we can get him on to join us one for an episode to talk a little bit more about that subject, because I thought he brought up some really good points about that. But I think the crux of that episode was mainly kind of the complete ridiculousness of that ad campaign that essentially Handley Wood was running, that was being basically paid for by the AIA.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't about, hey, you shouldn't be doing house plans and stuff like that, because there's a lot of architects out there that do that. It's a great source of recurring income. But it was the message that they were delivering on the backs of architects.
Right.
Exactly. I think I've gone back into that episode and corrected, because the link originally went down. And I think I went back. Well,
they took the video down, right?
Yeah, they took the video down. But I've gone back, and actually, if you go to that episode, and we'll have a link to the episode in this episode's show notes, and I've actually updated that link that goes to now a YouTube page where you can actually watch that video, because our original link went dead on that. So we've gone back and fixed that. So if you've ever been looking for it again, you can find it. Yeah,
because that was actually straight to the Hanley Wood website.
Right.
They can run, but they can't hide.
Hell yeah, it was on YouTube or something after that, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Somebody was like, nice try. Here's what you're really saying.
Exactly.
Well, I mean, but honestly, taking it down was the right thing to do. And so this is just kind of the paper trail.
And, let's be fair to Hanley Wood, that a lot of this was done prior to their relationship with the AIA, but to continue to use it, continue to promote it, and it be a part of their business model, all the while, here you are, basically taking the money from architects who are trying to work hard to generate business that either directly competes with or whatever. It was a bad message.
Right.
Yep.
Well, another popular episode we had was one entitled Interviewing, where we talked about different techniques or different experiences through the interview process. So that was a lot of fun, and we got some great comments back from that one.
Pretty clever title.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes deadlines, right? Just make it simple.
And I've actually referenced that episode and, made a couple of people that I know who are out actively looking for jobs, or they were getting ready to look for jobs, go back and either listen to again or for the first time, to just, tell them, hey, you're getting ready to go on this interview. Here's some tips of what you should do. And it was actually kind of funny because about a week prior, they were, I was asking them, okay, well, what are you going to be taking in on your interview? And they're like, what do you mean taking in? Like, let's have a conversation. And just, started to talk to them about what you should take, what you shouldn't take. And then made a really, in fact, he ended up sending off, even though he had already had an interview lined up, he went ahead and he kind of sent off kind of a cut sheets of some of his projects. He sent them an actual cover sheet. And they talked about that in the interview, and they were actually quite appreciative that even though he had already had the interview lined up, they were appreciative of the fact that he actually went ahead and did that, and it went a long way to actually landing him the job, because they were taken aback at the preparedness of him coming into the interview, the kind of the follow up with, I know that, because it was kind of a word of mouth job, but, he still wanted to kind of have all of that stuff on file for him. And it was really after, he kind of listened to the show, and then he came back to me and he was starting to, ask a couple of pointers on, hey, well, what do you think about this and that? And kind of did a, portfolio critique for him.
Yeah. I think if, again, there'll be a link to this episode in this episode's links, and go check out. We got over a dozen comments on this one, and lots of really interesting, fun. Sometimes some fun little stories in there, and just some other people adding their own advice as well. So I think in addition to the episode, check out the show notes on that one, because there's some helpful stuff in there. So and I think something I want to get into a little later in the episode on the year in review, if you will, how things have been going. And I think this is a really important episode to probably revisit for people as things are getting better and people are probably going on interviews or, considering looking for other jobs. I think this is an important episode to go back and listen to.
Yeah, and there's other good resources out there too. I know Bob Borson over at lifeofanarchitect.com has one where, or maybe several, where he's talked about what do's and don'ts at interviews. So we're definitely not the end all here, but and I think a lot of people, there's a lot of different stages in careers. There's people who've been in the business for a long time who are going to approach this completely different than somebody who just graduated from school. And obviously we can't cover every one of those bases during the podcast. And I feel like sometimes people criticize the podcast for not being able to go into detail for all those different ways. But it's just a fact of again, just the time constraints that we operate under.
Well, and we're also three men. So we got kind of ripped on that episode for not giving female attire pointers on that one. So, but maybe you guys actually don't want to hear our point of views on that. But
good point.
But yes, you're right. There are, go check out some other things in there. And I think we actually referred to some stuff in the episode. So check the links in that episode because we've got a few in there that look at some do's and don'ts and then also to some questions and different things like that. So and other places you can go to find and use as a resource. So definitely check that out. Next episode I had listed on our most commented on was probably the one we had a little fun with, but the one we entitled, it's episode 39, Seriously Millennials. And that was actually a lot of fun.
That's the one where you got angry.
Did I go off on that one?
Yes, you did.
Just a little bit, yeah.
I can't keep track sometimes.
I think that was the intro for the show. That was good.
Oh, wow. All right. Well, thank you very much for that. I don't know. This one was fun. I mean, I think I think it was you, Evan, that pointed out we weren't really sure how serious this person was in the writing. It almost seemed sort of satirical with some truths in there. I don't know.
Yep. I think we ended up just kind of accepting it at face value, and then there were a lot of really smart, thoughtful comments on that episode as well, kind of dissecting it a little bit more than we again had a chance to during the show. I think we picked that topic right before we went on to talk about it, so definitely read through those comments as well. It was an entertaining little topic to kind of like in the same vein as the one where we talked about Frank Gehry flipping everybody off.
Yeah, that one's coming next.
just kind of news of the week.
Right.
But I think there's a lot of angst in the younger generation about the way things are done or have been done, and they want to do it their own way. And I think everybody kind of thinks that at one time or another. And then there's people who've been in the business who still think like that all the time. So even though it was entitled Seriously Millennials, I think that there's feelings like this in all different types of lines of work, not just architecture, obviously too, but within architecture as well. There's just people who come from all different age groups that think the same way. And so I think that this was kind of a rallying cry that a lot of people, if you read the comments on the article itself, it's totally polarizing, right? There's people
who
are trying to burn the guy at the stake, and then there's other people who are holding him up and giving him his own parade. So
you had said this, as a comment on the one where we were giving interview tips and stuff. And I wanted to kind of just reiterate that a lot of what this show is more about the conversation starter. We pick a topic, we talk about it a little bit, and we really kind of hope, and in a lot of cases, we really get some really good feedback. And it starts a good conversation between, people who listen to the show. Neil's thrown it out there a couple of times on some of the LinkedIn and stuff. And it really generates some really good conversation. And that's really kind of the at least for me, one of the things that I'm really hopeful for is that this starts the conversation, whether it's just kind of having fun and, making a little bit of light of the profession. Sometimes we need that, to other times when we really are being serious about trying to improve the state of affairs of the profession.
That's why we call it a show. So speaking of what Evan just referenced there, the episode 46, which was entitled 98%. And that was the episode. It was kind of, it worked out really nicely that Frank decided to give the bird just before our recording schedule. So we could jump on that kind of hot topic of the week. And sometimes it doesn't work out that way, but this one sort of did. And that was our next highest. Actually, I think that was really kind of our second most commented on show, because I think Frank Gehry, I think he was kind of being, there's excuses. He was tired and he was just kind of being flippant. But then at the same time, I thought it really did bring up some important topics or discussion around, what was being asked and his response to that.
I guess my initial reaction when I saw the whole thing, it kind of pissed me off, and I was pretty angry about it and at him. And then as I started to kind of cool off, it's just that initial visceral reaction. But as I started to cool off, and then we were having the conversation, I could completely see where he was coming from and could understand the point of his reaction, because we all have that reaction, especially, you work hard. He works hard, regardless of the style that he comes up with. You may or may not like it. You may love it. You may hate it. But you know what? He still works hard, and, to have people question it is just kind of, is this just this flash in the pan kind of fashion stuff or whatever? It was easy to see where he was coming from, and it was honestly very easy to defend, just as putting us in the same situation as he was in. And so it was kind of interesting, because I went back and I re-listened to the show, and I was like, you know what? Everything that I said was not my initial reaction, but once I actually thought about it, completely understood the guy.
Yeah, I think that probably the thing that I've taken away from it, because I felt like I was understanding where he's coming from, and it's been pointed out several times now that the episode went up, and it's that so many people listen to Frank, right? And he does get the spotlight, and so when he does something like this, it does give other architects a bad name. It gives the industry a bad name, because somebody's throwing a tantrum, right? Who gets all the press coverage. So that's where it really leaves a bad taste in people's mouth.
And that probably, through the conversation that we had, that was probably my biggest, and still my biggest argument, is when you are the one with the microphone, speaking, whether he wants to or not, speaking for the entire profession, because everybody outside of the profession really doesn't know any better, so they are going to look for the voice, and he happens to be that voice right now. When you have something to say, it probably shouldn't be degrading against your own, well, whatever. But yeah, you're right. When he was the de facto mouthpiece, you better do some better talking than that.
Well, he didn't actually say much. No, actually, I take that back.
Oh, he followed it up with...
Yeah, no, you're right. He did follow it up with...
Yes.
But it definitely... Well, he did the kind of sign language first, yes. And that
exactly.
got all the attention up first. And then, of course, he called everything else crap. So
well, yeah.
Frank had a lot of opinions, and, good for him. I mean, it's okay.
Don't we all?
Yes.
No, that's not what this show's about at all.
Would you like someone to draw CAD details for you? Create BIM objects for you? Write specifications for you? Would you like someone to do it for free? Ding, ding, ding. Well, ARCAT has already done all of this for you. Search the ARCAT libraries for these products and more, free of charge, and no registration required to download content. ARCAT has created a website devoted to you, the building professional, to find product information fast and hassle-free. Check out ARCAT today at ARCAT, that is ARCAT, ARCAT.com. And the Archispeak podcast would like to thank ARCAT for sponsoring the show.
I want to ask our listeners, what was their favorite episode of 2014? We've done, two a month, basically. So we've done about 24 episodes this year. So of those 24, in fact, I want to say thank you to everybody for listening and to my co-hosts here. Just a little side, I want to say thanks because we've stayed on schedule every 2 weeks all year long, and we had some rough times through the summer through scheduling, figuring out everybody's vacation schedules and when we could record and everything. And I just think we did a good job staying on schedule this year. So not that we didn't the year before either, but we did really work really hard at making sure each episode came out on time. Problem
solving, project management. That's what we did.
I think we did a whole episode about that, right?
You know what? I kind of wish that our some of our projects would go as even though we had our challenges. I wish some of our projects would go as well and smooth as these podcasts.
Right. So when you listen to this episode, let us know through the Twitter or LinkedIn or Facebook or wherever you communicate with us on. Let us know what your favorite episode is or was for 2014, and we appreciate it. So
and for those in Neil's age group, Telegraph, Mimeograph Machine,
facts,
whatever,
facts. Just send me the facts.
Smoke signals.
I have to say that my favorite episode was the Equity by Design episode. I felt like that one was probably, and obviously it was because we had such a great guest on that show, Rosa Shang from the Missing 32%, and she's the one who was the leader of the whole symposium putting it together. And I know she had a team of amazing individuals who helped put that all together. And Neil, you got to go to the show.
Yes.
And then, we kind of put together this big, we had a great call in, we had a great interview with Rosa, and she just had so many great things to say. I think that's probably the one that I'm the most proud of this year. So I really recommend going back and listening to that, because that is not like a passing moment like some of these others were, right? This is something that's ongoing. It's really important. This is definitely something that I'm very aware of in the firm that I work for, as an issue that needs to be brought up and thought about and considered. And we just need to be really thoughtful about equity within the corporate structures that we work within, and with representation in all levels of the projects that we're doing. So that was to me, really a standout episode.
Absolutely.
And then the other thing that I wanted to say that I'm really proud of this year is that I got effing licensed.
That's right. Congratulations.
I got my license number. And so this year I think this plays right into what Neil, you were just saying about scheduling. I mean, this was a huge piece of my schedule that I had to kind of work around with the episodes and all the studying and all the exams. And I remember being in Yellowstone National Park where there is no cell service with AT&T at all, and I'm on my phone trying to get the results of one of my exams. Seriously, for like 45 minutes, I'm trying to reload a page in the middle of nowhere, and it finally shows up that I passed, and I yelled out, "I passed!" And my kids and my wife start jumping up and down, and it was like everybody around us is looking at us like we're crazy, but like that's the kind of process that it was for me. And so it was a huge accomplishment to finally, just a few days ago, actually get my license number. And, that was a huge goal for me to accomplish before the end of 2014. So that's just one of the complicated little side deals that's going on the side of this show. It's not just us sitting behind the microphone and yakking away all the time. We all have so much more going on. So I'm glad that's over.
I think, Evan, what you were able to accomplish really shows that anyone listening to this show, whether they're an unlicensed professional right now or if they're just a student, that this you can do it. I mean, and I don't want to sound cliche, like, hey, anybody can get this done. But what I mean to say is that you can actually do it. I mean, if you work hard and you schedule things. I mean, Evan, we've been doing this show every 2 weeks. You've been working. You've had sometimes some crazy hours, and yet you still managed to study and pass the majority of your exams this year.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, that's just encouraging to, I think, everybody who's listening that you can do it. And it just takes some hard work, that's for sure. But now it's over, and now you just get to pay your $300 every 2 years.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, wait, actually, we do have some continuing education. I'm sure they gave you all that pamphlet information, right?
I actually haven't got that in the mail yet, but
you haven't?
I am assuming it'll show up pretty soon.
Yes, you will have to do some hours. So
let this sink in first. Jeez, come on. Let him breathe.
Well, he's lucky because he got licensed in California, we have to pay our license fee every 2 years, and it's every odd year. So is when you pay. So being that Evan got licensed in an even year, he only had to pay half.
That's right.
Of what the license fee is, because he's getting licensed in the mid-year. So he's getting a break this year. Next year, he'll get hit with the full 300.
The full Monty, yeah.
The full Monty, exactly. Right. So on the month of your birthday, so it's like a big happy birthday from the state of California.
Right.
Happy birthday, give me money.
That's right. Exactly. Well,
and in California, it's all. What's the? I should know this because it was part of the test, but the
you've forgotten it already.
The licensing jurisdiction. It's pretty funny because my wife's like, "What do you get? What do you get?" I get this little piece of paper that all the cosmetologists have.
That's right. Yes, it looks exactly like what is if you had gotten your license to cut hair.
Yep.
It looks pretty much the same.
Awesome.
And you'll be proud to hang it on the wall.
Yes.
You also get a little small one you can put in your wallet too.
License.
Yes, next to your hairstylist license.
That's right. Yeah, and you'll get a little small one to put in your wallet. So it's really cool.
Yeah,
it's very nice.
So you can like flash that and get into anything you
yeah.
Don't you know who I am?
That's right. It's like the little secret handshake or something.
I was going to say that very thing. I was like, did they teach you a secret handshake?
No, there is no secret handshake.
You haven't gotten.
I can't believe that there isn't a secret handshake.
No, you haven't gotten that one yet. It's coming.
I don't think I will. Yeah.
Well, I've been licensed for a while now, so yeah.
So
it's coming. It's coming.
We need to get together.
The next time we get together in probably in May?
Yeah, May, and then MDC's coming up again in October.
So what's happening
every odd year?
So what's happening in May?
Are you asking me?
Yeah, I'm asking you.
The AIA convention.
And we may be there. I don't know. Remember what we talked about at the beginning of the show about sponsors and friends of the show? If you would like to see Archispeak in Atlanta in 2015, become a friend of the show.
That's right. Yeah. I mean, we would love to go to the show and meet up with all of our listeners and followers and friends and everybody who's hanging out with us online over the last couple of years. So that's where we want to do it.
I wanted to go and ask you guys, it's, we're at the end of 2014. How has this year been architecturally for you guys? You mean like as far as projects go? Just maybe projects or just being busy. I mean, I'll start us off. I mean, for the last be 6 years in February, I've been on my own. And, a big part of that was because I got laid off from my last job due to the economy. And with my license, I just went on my own. And it's been a huge struggle finding projects. I had spent a number of years working for developers prior to getting laid off the last time. So unlike some friends of mine who when they got laid off from their firms, had clients of theirs contacting them like, hey, you were doing the exact same thing for, me in this firm. Now you're on your own. How about I hire you? And so I know some friends that, picked up some work and got them started doing things for former clients. And I wasn't coming from that perspective. I really had nothing at all. And so it's been a huge struggle to try and, find projects, to find work. And I've seen a huge change in 2014 compared to the past several years. And really since I started that, this year's been a really good year. It started off for me pretty good. I had 2 or 3 projects in January, one of which I just posted some photos of. It finally got built and we got some pictures taken. And so, that's worked out nicely. Kind of through the middle of the year, things kind of dropped off for me, but I had a friend who needed some help done. So I did some consulting with him for a good part of the year. And then in this fall, I'm real curious from our listeners and from you guys. It's just been this huge explosion in calls and, people wanting proposals and, signing a few proposals. And it's like, ever since around September, I've been really busy, and it's been a huge change. I've never been this busy in 6 years. So I'm just curious from you guys, how has that been for your firms? You both work for large, obviously you're not so sole proprietors. So I'm curious how things have you've seen in the job market in general, or, with your own firms, have things really picked up this year? Does this seem like the end of the recession and next year we're, off to the races again?
I have been absolutely insanely busy. We sit down and we have our, kind of project review meetings every week with all the project managers. And I come in with my list of 14 projects.
Wow.
That I have that are my own, the projects that I'm managing. They're in a variety of stages of, development through, construction. And some are big, some are tiny. But, I've got 14, which is probably the heaviest load that I've had in my career, at one given time of projects, and just about to actually pick up a 15th. But thankfully, it might actually go back down to 14 because one's done and a couple are closing out. So hopefully that starts to clear up a little bit better. But, as good old Christmas rolls around, my every year since I've worked for this firm and worked for the prior firm, I'm always have been busy at Christmas time because for some reason schools really like to go out to bid at Christmas, and I'm working on an addendum right now. So busy.
Yeah, same with me. I know of at least 3 projects. It's probably more like 4 or 5 are all due mid-January to the state.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so everybody's in this mad rush, and it was really questionable, okay, so what happens then? And then we just won some more huge projects. So there's not any question anymore of what everybody's going to be doing after that. And
right.
So we are very busy, and I totally agree. It seems like everybody wants these projects, and they want them now, and it's because of the schedules that they operate on. They want to occupy their new building in a year and a half. And that, for the size of school that I've been working on for the last 9 months, which is going in 2 weeks, we're super busy right now during the holidays, of course. But that's the schedule that it demands so that they can occupy it in August of 2016, because that's just enough time to build it.
Well, because they need the schedule, the way that they work, Neil, just for your awesome education of
sure
of what Evan and I's insanity is a lot of times. Schools basically plan their construction around summers.
Right.
And so they'll go out to bid, they'll get the notice to proceed, they've got to go through all the paperwork to get it approved by the Board of Ed, and then everything else. So there's a lot. May say, okay, well, it bids, like my project, it'll be bidding in January. Now, technically, we're going to be starting, or at least giving them the notice to proceed on, so that it'll be, the first, or actually it'll be spring break of, this coming year. And so they'll have the time to mobilize, get into certain areas, do some, abatement, start setting up their staging and everything else, so that when summer hits, they can go full force, for, most of the time it's 8 weeks. Sometimes it only ends up being 6 weeks, but, try to take that time as best as possible to have an unoccupied building. Because once school starts back up, especially in certain cases where we do occupied renovations, you've got to basically maneuver everything around the school staying open and operating as a fully functioning school, and kids can move around through a construction site. So there's complete and utter segregation between contract work, construction workers and, the student body, so that, contractors can do their work, students can do their work, and, just keep it rolling. And so, I think our turnover for this project that's starting next year, in April, will be, I think, April of 2017 is when we finish that one.
Wow. Now, it's really interesting to hear you say that, because what I've noticed is actually heading into the holiday season here for the first time, actually, having a few projects and being relatively busy, is that I've noticed a huge slowdown. I had several people, 2 or 3 people contact me in early December wanting to meet to talk about, that initial meeting, just to see if they want to hire me or what they want to do. And I was like, okay, we tried to get those scheduled. Sometimes, with the holidays, people can't make it. And now suddenly everybody's like, okay, as we record this, it's just before Christmas. So as this goes out, it'll be after Christmas. But everybody's like, well, I'll talk to you after the holiday, and, contact me again in January. So I've seen quite the opposite, because I don't have projects that are going to be submitted, in January or anything, that everything's kind of really slowed down for me. And which is a nice thing, because, at least for my, individual clients that I have, they have families, they're busy, and it's like, we don't have time to deal with this right now either. And so it's kind of been a nice little slowdown or break here right towards the end of the year. But it also scares the heck crap out of me, because I'm thinking, what if people forget, or they decide over the holiday, or something happens, and then suddenly, I'm not going to do that now, or something. So I'm like, okay, well, now what am I going to do in January? Some of my projects will continue into January, a couple of them, so there'll be some work, but it's always that scary feeling, with your guys' work, with the schedules that go out in long term, in some cases, like you just said, till 2017. That's like 2 years away. And I'm thinking, what am I going to do in like 2 weeks? So, or 3 weeks. So that kind of concerns me. But the positive is that if things continue the way they have been, hopefully that'll be okay. And like I saw last January, a little spurt of extra, people calling and some interest. I'm hoping to see that again, this next January, because I think this year has been a stronger year, finishing than 2013 was. So we'll see. I don't know.
Well, we're recording this on December 23rd. Do you know what that is?
Happy Festivus, everyone.
That's right. And now we will have the airing of the grievances.
Sorry, but for us East Coasters, it is Christmas Eve.
Oh, well.
2 beats 1, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's still the 23rd on the West Coast. Nobody cares about that. Hey, before we get to airing of grievances, I'm curious to hear, and I'm curious from our listeners too, because we've just been talking about kind of a holiday or how busy we are or are not. I'm curious what other people's offices do. I know when I worked in an office, I've never worked in an office that completely shut down, like for a week or 2 weeks at the end of the year. I know some firms do. It clearly sounds like your firms don't.
I've heard those. Are they hiring? Kidding.
You can contact Cormac through the website, archispeakpodcast.com. But I'm curious from our listeners, tweet us or put comments on in this episode. What does your offices do? Do they shut down? Do you take time off? Do you have any vacation left? I'm curious.
Ours does shut down. Officially. That doesn't mean we won't be there working. But officially, the office is shut down between Christmas and New Year. Actually, I believe this year we're shut down until the 5th.
Are you guys hiring?
We are. Please come join us. And then the funny thing is, like, our MP&E consultant for the project that I'm working on is shut down this whole week. So they're shut down this week. We're shut down next week. So nothing will happen, right?
Right. Wow.
Yeah.
It's interesting when you say that because, like, all of our clients,
all the schools are already gone.
All closed.
Right. There's no communication. Yeah,
exactly. So really, I was talking to the project manager from one of our clients, and he's in the capital construction side of things, and so he's we were talking. And I was like, well, so what's your schedule? He's like, well, public schools, we're gone here and we won't be back till here. He's like, but, just feel free to email me. And then if there's something really important, go ahead and text me. But otherwise, I'm going to be, out of pocket. I'm like, I'm not going to really bug you during your holidays. But no, but I'll be there.
Exactly.
I'll take a couple of extra days off here and there just to kind of hang out with the family because we're heading to New York City.
Nice.
Just for a couple of days, just so that hopefully the everything is still up. We've been meaning to hit New York during the Christmas time and go look at all of the cool window displays and the Christmas tree at Rockefeller Center. And
I can't wait to see the pictures.
Oh, yeah. There'll be plenty.
Well, you'll have to share them with us because I think Evan, you alluded pre-show about the fact that you're not going anywhere either.
I'm not going anywhere. My wife's working the whole time, and our kids are out of school for like more than 2 weeks here. It's like,
wow,
give me a break.
Wow.
Yeah, no.
So what? So I'm doing childcare. Yeah.
No, my kids got out today. Their winter break starts, and then they go back on the 5th.
Yeah, our kids were off half day last Friday or Thursday. They didn't even have school on Friday. Yeah.
And my kids didn't have school on Friday either, and all Thursday was just like a big party.
Yeah, exactly. Movie and food, fill them up with sugar day.
We've got a lot of other holidays that we do throughout the year that a lot of school systems don't do. Like they celebrate, and observe Rosh Hashanah and a lot of the other Jewish holidays. So, we're closed on those kind of days. So it kind of balances out that we get all these we get shortened breaks, but it seems like they're always out of schools one time or another. It's just like, wait, are you guys going to school? No, it's this. Wow. To be back in school.
So Evan, Festivus
for the rest of us.
What grievances do you have? Are we going to do the feats of strength here on the show?
Yes. We wrestle.
Not sure how that's going to work, but okay. So what are your grievances?
Hey, it sounds
2014.
Yeah, I haven't getting through those exams.
You don't have any grievances. You're licensed.
I'm done.
Come on, man.
Yeah.
It's a party.
Yeah, getting through those was really tough, and so I'm really glad it's over. A friend of mine a coworker, she just took her first one, and I just remember I asked her how it went, and she's like, it was crazy. It wasn't anything I studied for. And I said, okay, so now you know what it's like, right? just keep Just keep
Evan,
going. I'm sure you did fine.
Between my license number, my wife's license number, and yours, I think we determined about
1,000 a year.
About 1,000 architects a year are
on
licensed,
average. Yeah.
On average in California. About 1,000.
Yeah, I think the last I checked, there were over 16,000 licensed architects in California. And then I looked at like Wyoming, and it was like less than 200 or something like that. It's pretty amazing the jump how far California is above all of the other states as far as license holders.
Right. Well, my license
your own
was
country.
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, and so to kind of give people some perspective, my wife was licensed in 2004, and so about 10 years ago. And then I was licensed about 10 years prior to that. And so over those two time frames, it averaged out to about 1,000 architects a year, which I thought was pretty interesting. I mean, that's just
roughly around 84 a month.
Yeah, and I think I follow along with Karen Kensick and Doug Noble's Notley group, which is out of USC. I get emails from them, and I'm excited because I'm getting kicked out of Notley. Notley stands for Not Licensed Yet, and it's kind of Doug and Karen are big cheerleaders, and they put on all kinds of free classes and stuff for all the different tests. And I believe the last email that I got that Doug sent out regarding numbers was that there were like over 300 new licenses in November or October. So it really is ramping up at the end of the year. You can tell that people are trying to get exams in before the end of the year. And I'm sure that happens every year. But I think he sent it out thinking saying, this is unusually high. So it sounds like people are getting really into the mode of taking exams out here in California.
Well, I think this is positive news in that, as we all three of us have mentioned earlier, that we're busy, and 2015, at least in the near future, looks really good, and we're all going to be really busy. So I think this is good news for students that are in school right now that may be graduating next May and June. I think you're going to find a pretty healthy market for jobs, architectural jobs, that is, come, about the time you're ready to graduate next spring.
Yep, definitely. I definitely see that where we are too.
Yeah.
And there's lots of open job recs right now.
Yeah. And so if you're in a job, if you've already graduated and, you're getting close to getting your license, if you've been looking around, maybe you're not quite satisfied where you're at or something like that. I mean, this next year looks like a good year to be, finding the right job for you, because there's going to be firms that maybe, that you want to go back to that interviewing episode that we did and listen to that and get that down so that you're ready to go out and do that, because I think 2015 is going to be a good year for hopefully everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. And for those fresh students that Neil was talking about, the jobs are there. And just my only word of advice will be, don't get disillusioned when you start that first job and it's nothing like school, because it's nothing like school.
Oh, speaking of that, did you guys see that on Arc Daily there was the Archiculture article? It's a documentary, and it's Pratt College, right? And that's totally back east. And it's 25-minute long documentary on the architectural education, and it's kind of a behind-the-scenes look, and it follows 3 or 4 students day to day through probably one semester or so. And I would say, the first half of it was really, really good, and then it started to kind of, I don't know, the second half didn't work as well for me, but I really enjoyed the first half, and it was neat to kind of go back and see and just to remember what it was like. So definitely check that out. We should put a link to that in the show notes.
I want to check it out because a friend of mine that I went to school with teaches there.
Oh, cool. Yeah, so we'll put that in the show notes. And the show notes, just so you can get all the links and everything, if you go to our website, archispeakpodcast.com, and look on the right side of just about every page, you can sign up for the show notes, and they'll get emailed to you as soon as the show goes out, and then you can kind of follow along with the different links and stuff that we bring up during the show. So check out Archiculture. It was I think it's pretty well done.
Cool. I need to actually see that. I did see that come across and haven't had a chance to sit down and do that and watch it.
Yeah, it's on YouTube. All right, cool.
It's on the internet.
It's on the internet.
It's on the internets.
It's on.
So
social
Cormac,
media
what
channels.
were do you want to air some grievances? Since we're in the Festivus mood.
He does that all year.
I was going to say, haven't I been doing that every 2 weeks for the entire year? That's just, isn't that what our show is?
This is an outlet.
Therapy.
That's right. Talk it out.
You know what? Honestly, in this joyous festive season, I don't have grievances. I'm honestly, to be quite honest with you, hoping that this time next year I'll be celebrating the same kind of milestones that Evan is, and this year, and just really kind of excited and hoping for a great 2015. Interesting changes at the office, and I think they're all going to be a really awesome and positive way to kind of reshape and refocus the culture of the office. And the good thing is that they're coming to me and kind of involving me in the leadership of the shift in culture and just really kind of refocusing on what it was that got everybody into this profession in the first place. So I'm actually really energized and excited about 2015.
You sound like somebody who's getting a gym membership in January that, you won't be going to by February 1st.
No, I won't even bother that. No, I'm honestly, there's a lot of grievances that we can air, and that's what the next episode and the next episode are going to be about.
Oh, a teaser.
Better start writing it out now.
Exactly.
Yeah, that'll be a long one.
So what about you then, Neil?
I don't have too many grievances. It's been a good year. I think it's a struggle. It's been a bit of a struggle for me trying to balance as projects have come in, trying to figure out how to run sole proprietorship. I think that's probably been my biggest, if there's a grievance I've had, is just trying to understand what to do, what not to do. And I don't think there's any right or wrong answers. I honestly can say I don't think I've done anything necessarily wrong, and I'm not always doing things right either. It's definitely something that's been a learning experience, and I'm getting better at it. But I think it's always a constant struggle. And, I know our friend Mark LePage has lots of great advice over on his site, Entrepreneur Architect, and, dive into that and use his experience and several other people online. In fact, I have to say that I've been real, just real pleased at how well the community, essentially through Twitter, has been to me with advice and support for things that I've been doing either on this podcast or outside this podcast. And, really want to give a big thanks to everybody who contributed with their own comments and help. I've actually, even when I got into a bind, was able to actually farm out a little bit of work to somebody else. And, it was all through Twitter. And so I think it's a real powerful medium and a way that I think in the future that a lot of sole proprietors and maybe even larger firms, will start to work. So I'm really excited, by what to look forward to in 2015. I'm getting better with, my own CAD stuff that I'm doing. And since I've been using a newer program for the first time, so it's taken, there's been a bit of a struggle in trying to do that, but, so those are kind of probably my grievances per se, but it's been good, and it's kind of fun, and it's different, and it's it's good to to have some work and some focus and have being able to get some things done. And so that's been great. And doing this show, that's been a lot of fun this year.
Yeah, total grievance right there.
So, quick question.
Yeah.
What do you guys expect from us? And this is a question for not only you guys, but also everybody out there listening. What do you guys expect from us in 2015?
Oh, I think that's good. I don't know. I think we should just leave that for the listeners and get some comments back. We have some thoughts about what we want to do next year, but let's get some comments back. Maybe we'll talk about that early next year. All right. So thank you to everyone for listening all year long. It's been a great 2014, and hopefully you'll stick with us through 2015 as well as we move into our third year. Yeah.
And thanks Arcat for sponsoring the show.
Absolutely. All right, everybody. Well, happy holidays to everyone out there, and we'll see you all in 2015.
See you next year.
Good night.
See you next year.
What you get. This is what you get. This is a schedule. This is a set. It's unpredictable unless you forget.